thoughts. Hopefully you do good things. Everybody has a competition in their brain of good thoughts and bad thoughts. Hopefully they win. The good thoughts win. For me, I always have both. I have like the thing I believe, the good thing. That's the thing I believe. And then there's this thing.
I don't like the show Family Guy. You know, the cartoon. Or at least what it represents. And you know, you might be wondering where's this coming from? Well, I don't like Bill Maher, and I know that Bill Maher has nothing to do with the show, but Seth MacFarlane, the show's creator, and I think he does the voice for Peter, for Stewie, and for a few other characters. You know, Bill Maher and Seth MacFarlane are, you know, pretty tight. They seem like they're close chums. Chum. If you ever hear me refer to one of my friends as one of my chums, you have my permission to kick the shit out of me. But anyway, you know, they're very close. I mean, Seth MacFarlane has even, I believe, hosted Real Time a couple of times when I guess Bill Maher couldn't do it. So it leads me to believe that, you know, Seth MacFarlane shares Bill Maher's political views, which is basically pro-establishment. You know, so, and if you look at the show Family Guy, now I know this might seem like a stretch. It might seem like, you just don't like Seth MacFarlane because he's friends with Bill Maher, and that's true. But I've also have seen Seth MacFarlane on on Real Time. I don't watch that show anymore, but I've seen him when he was on. You can tell that they definitely, they definitely swing the same way. And if you look at the show, and I don't mean, you know, my apologies now if I totally ruined the show for you. Although I don't, you know, I mean, it's not like I don't find it funny. I still find the show funny. But when you think about like what they're depicting in the show, it at least for me, it kind of bugs me, right? Like there's this, you know, you got Peter and you know, and even his friends, right? They're all sort of blue collar workers, right? You know, they basically represent the working class, and of course, you know, they're all a bunch of fucking doofuses, right? Easily swayed doofuses. Is that what I said? I don't know. They're all fucking dumb as shit, right? You know, easily swayed by bullshit, easily distracted. You know, most of them, if not all of them, didn't go to college. You know, any of the people of color are the most stereotypical. Now, I get it. It's supposed to be that. I understand that it's supposed to be stereotypical. And that's really not even I'm not that bothered by it, right? Because I get it. You know, I'm not a complete fucking, you know, I don't even know what the fucking word would be. It's not like I don't understand the premise of the show. I get it. It's supposed to be satire. But if you look at, say, Bill Maher's and, you know, by association, Seth MacFarlane's, you know, political views as far as how they insisted that the Trump supporters, the people that voted for Trump, we're all just these fucking, you know, hicks who are just too stupid to understand what's, you know, what's in their best interest. I mean, they completely dismiss the fact that, you know, a lot of those people were Democrats originally. A lot of his supporters voted for Obama twice. And yes, they got taken in by a snake oil salesman, but there's always been sort of, you know, at least with the corporatist left, if you want to call them left, there's always been this sort of like the working stiff or the blue collar workers. For some reason, he's always depicted as just this fucking idiot, right? That just so happened to land like a union job of some sort, and he can't fucking really provide very well for his family, but they somehow make it, and they're all fucking drunks, and you know um, just deviants and shit, right? That's always been the perspective of the working class by the corporatist elite, and uh, not just in cartoon form. They've always treated you know like a guy that fucking lays brick or some shit, like as though somehow he's failed at life. You know, uh, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure you get what I'm getting at here. And so if you look at Family Guy, right, you see that even though it's most of majority of it is satire, but you can see that same sort of this fucking working stiff blue collar fucking dipshit, uh you know that same theme is played out in the cartoon, and it's also played out on the fucking spin-off of that show with the Cleveland Brown show, which is by far not even as good as Family Guy. But it's just, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm a little fucking jaded. I mean, I am fucking actually spending time analyzing a fucking cartoon. I do realize the ridiculousness of this, but it's strange, right? That I mean, it's not really strange. I mean, it's just kind of business as usual as far as the elitist corporatist fucking Democrat perspective is, that anybody that didn't fucking you know get a master's degree in something other than fucking pushing a broom or laying brick, or working at a fucking brewery or whatever, that somehow they're fucking stupid. That there's no way that they could possibly like fucking analyze a situation, or have like individual thoughts, right? That it's always that they're just easily led astray. Now, am I going to pretend like there aren't people that sort of fall into that sort of category? Of course there are fucking dipshits that never really tried very hard, and end up they complain about the life that they inevitably fucking created for themselves. And yeah, they are easily led astray, but not every single one. In fact, I would make the argument that a majority of the people that voted for Trump, I voted for Bernie Sanders, and when I couldn't have Bernie Sanders, I voted for Jill Stein, just in case anybody's wondering. Uh, you know, I kind of feel like a majority of the people that voted for Trump aren't exactly a bunch of fucking idiots. They were just looking for a way to smash the establishment with what they thought was the candidate that was going to sort of smash that establishment. And yeah, it turns out that they were wrong. And Trump is just as much a fucking corporatist establishment tool as anybody else. But that's what they were voting for. Which kind of also leads into this idea. Is anybody, or not the idea, but has anybody seen the video of the reporter that's fucking I guess he goes to some lady's house and starts fucking harassing her because she was a Trump supporter, and it turns out that I don't know, somebody that she fucking included on an attachment to her fucking Facebook post or some shit was part of these of that like 13 fucking Russian internet troll fucking bullshit. It's just this idea. It drives me up the fucking wall, right? That the establishment Democrats and their supporters, the Hillary supporters, insist that they make their decision, or when they decided to vote for Hillary, they insist that they made that decision based on individual thought, right? They looked at the at the choices in front of them, and they decided on their own that they were going to vote for Hillary Clinton. And they insist that they've never been swayed by anything, whether it's mainstream media or, the fact that Bill Clinton once played a fucking sax on Arsenio Hall, or, they love to say that, we're not fucking, we're capable of individual thought. Nobody fucking, molded my opinion, and nobody fucking, convinced me of my vote, right? They love to insist that they were never influenced in any way. But then in the same fucking breath, will insist that anybody that voted differently than them must have been fucking persuaded by the fucking boogeyman Russians, right? That nobody could possibly fucking dislike Hillary Clinton. That it's insane that you would actually be able to think for yourself, and the only logical conclusion is that you must be a fucking mindless nitwit that's easily influenced by, if anybody has seen the fucking memes, it's ridiculous that they're claiming this was what influenced people to vote against Hillary. It's fucking nonsense. But they insist that if you voted differently than them, you must not be able to think for yourself. That you are that working stiff idiot that's just easily led astray by the most ridiculous of fucking plots and schemes and shit, right? But their decision isn't influenced at all. It isn't that fucking mainstream media basically mainstream media is corporate controlled, which means that they're going to push for the corporatist candidate. And who was the corporatist candidate? Hillary Clinton. Right? But, they love to claim that, my vote wasn't influenced. I can think for myself. I'm fucking, I'm smart enough. And it just, you can sort of see the ties into why I don't like fucking Family Guy. Right? Because it is that same mindset that if you didn't fucking, earn a master's or a doctorate somewhere, if you didn't attend the fucking Ivy League schools, that somehow you must be a fucking idiot. That if you ended up having to lay brick or build houses or do somebody's roof or push a fucking broom, that you're somehow a failure at being a human being. And therefore you're easily swayed by the fucking meme of, I think it's like Hillary dressed up as the devil, facing off against fucking Jesus. It's just, that's why I don't like fucking, I know it took me a long time to sort of get to this, but if you can see it now, that their depiction of the working class, it 100% lines up with why Hillary Clinton and the Democrats ignored the fucking Rust Belt, right? Because they're like, it's a shoo-in, and even if we don't fucking get them, what was it that Chuck Schumer said? For every Democrat or working class Democrat we lose, we'll gain fucking two moderate Republicans in the suburbs or some shit. He said something like that. Those, I'm paraphrasing, but it is around, he said something to that degree, which means it's like, these fucking, these hillbilly hicks or these people that, have a union job, they're too fucking stupid. We're not going to even bother with them. What we're going to do is go for the more educated, more elitist Republicans. That is their view. And you see it depicted in the fucking cartoon, right? That they're just fucking, that anybody that didn't go to college is a moron, So, I don't know. It took me 15 minutes to explain why I don't like a fucking cartoon. But I think, or at least I hope, that you can kind of understand where I'm coming from here. That it's not that I don't like the fact that, that the one Mexican on the show is a maid, or that fucking Cleveland or any black character is like a stereotype, or any other character, whether they're Middle Eastern or European or whatever. I don't give a shit. I understand. Those were meant to be over the top. They were meant to be exaggerated, but the underlying theme of the blue collar dipshit is what I don't fucking like. And the more I watch that show, and the more I think about, Seth MacFarlane's relationship with Bill Maher, and Bill Maher's view of the fucking of the working class, and the Democrats' view, or the corporatist Democrats' view of the working class, the more I realize that fucking show is shit. It's just it's fucking propaganda, right? Or not really propaganda, because I don't think they're trying to convince anybody of anything. It's just the elitist view of the working class, right? And just they completely ignore the fact that I don't know. How much time can one person spend talking about fucking fictional characters in a cartoon? I'm just saying that I'm not such a fan anymore of that fucking show. It's still funny, I still fucking laugh at it, but it's just, the more I fucking watch it, the more I'm like, what, this is sort of perpetuating that fucking this idea that if that working class people are fucking stupid, hence the a couple of memes from some Russian fucking trolls, somehow swayed the fucking the vote towards fucking Trump, or for those of us that are progressive, it swayed us to vote for Jill Stein, the corporate stooge, or Bernie Sanders, who's now being labeled a fucking Russian operative. It's just absolute fucking horseshit. And the fact that they think that people can't just fucking vote for whoever the fuck they want, and it not be because they were fucking tricked into voting for, you were tricked into voting for Hillary Clinton. If you are a fucking supporter, you were tricked because you completely ignored her entire fucking political history. You cherry pick things that, the good things that she's done, and completely ignore the overwhelming majority of horrific fucking shit that she's done. So, I know it's all projection. It always has been. Since they since they lost the election, it has always been projection. That everybody else is at fault, and that everybody's fucking stupid, and everybody's just part of the cult, the Bernie Sanders cult or whatever. Like they love to claim, meanwhile they act like cultist people, right? Because look at Scientology, right? Scientology is perfectly fine unless you talk against them, or if you happen to belong to their group and you try and get out, or you do get out. What do? They fucking smear the shit out of you. They go on a fucking, they take every sort of fucking dislike or whatever against them as a full out attack. And what do? They fucking try their best to, if I at least from what I understand from watching the fucking documentaries and shit about it, that if you're already a part of that fucking religion and you leave, then they basically try and ostracize you, right? They cut you off from your family, they cut you off from your friends, they fucking talk huge amounts of shit about you, They basically, how dare you fucking say anything bad about our religion or our leader? And then they go on full on assault. That is what a fucking cult does. And that is what I see Hillary supporters do all the fucking time. If you even say something negative about their fucking queen, they fucking insult you. They assume that you were fucking that you're a Russian bot, or that or that you're too fucking stupid to not be influenced by social media fucking memes. And then they fucking, they block you. They refuse to hear anything that goes against their own narrative. I mean, if anybody acts like they belong to a fucking cult, it is the Hillary supporters. But I don't know. It's just it's fucking stupid, and I think it's ridiculous that the fucking reporter showed up on to that lady's fucking house and was antagonizing her and making it seem like her decision to vote for Trump was influenced by the Russians, or that somehow she's some sort of fucking Russian operative is what they love to fucking imply. The reality is that there is a certain percentage of people that voted for Trump that do indeed have racist fucking values, and just genuinely dislike anybody that's not a particular ethnicity. But that's a small percentage. And then there are people that have always been Republican, right? That always have had a very anti-left perspective, and would vote fucking Republican no matter what, no matter who the fucking candidate is. And then there's also the group, a significantly large portion of the group that voted for Trump because they thought that he was a populist. They thought that he was actually going to be an anti-interventionist, that he was going to keep jobs here, that he was going to do something to actually help them, after 8 years of being bullshitted about the hope and change that never fucking came. They looked to him because that was their only choice. Now, had they had Bernie Sanders, an actual populist, I'm willing to bet that those people that voted for Trump, that originally had voted for Barack Obama twice, would have 100% gotten behind Bernie Sanders. But, they cheated Bernie out of the nomination, and, gave them as an option, basically a worse version of Obama. So they naturally went to the only other candidate that was that for them seemed like an actual populist. Where was I going with all this shit? I don't know. This is what happens when you just start fucking talking. Sometimes you go off in these little fucking tangents, and then halfway through you're like, well, what the fuck was all that about? I don't know. I don't like fucking Family Guy. That and twerking videos. I'm fucking sick. Am I the only one that's just disgusted at this point by fucking twerking videos? It's so like every time I see a video of this on like on Instagram or whatever, like it's never the type of girl that I would actually want to date, right? Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I love to feel on that ass and all of that. It's just the kind of girl I want to fuck, or maybe I don't even know then, because I have pretty fucking high standards, but. Like, I've yet to see one twerking video, where the girl didn't look kind of fucking skanky, right? These aren't the types of chicks that you fucking marry. You know what I mean? Like, And I think that's what disgusts me the most, and it makes me laugh because these are also the same people that will be like, women are not your fucking objects, and we shouldn't be subjected to catcalling. It's like, lady, you are shaking your ass in a thong on video for everybody to fucking see. What sort of fucking response did you expect? Be like, oh, she's so brave. Look at how she inflated her ass with all that silicone, and then bravely put on the G-string fucking bikini bottom, and and look at how fucking heroic she is as she fucking gets really low and shakes her ass, and she just does things that are just you've never seen done. I mean, she's so fucking brave. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. It just, I don't know. I've never really been attracted to to any woman that you can tell that they definitely have some sort of fucking self-esteem issue. Now, I know that most women have some degree of a self-esteem issue. Same thing with guys. I mean, we wouldn't fucking drive around in Lamborghinis or fucking buy fucking huge mansions or whatever if there wasn't some degree of of an issue with the old self-esteem, right? But I've never been attracted to the type of girl, female, lady, whatever, that would do something like that, or the ones that wear the fucking the really open fucking chested shirt or dress where most of the titties are fucking falling out, or felt the need to wear like really tiny fucking skirts, or high heels. I've always been sort of I'm more attracted to, I mean, you obviously have to be attractive in order for me to be interested, but I've always been more attracted to somebody with with personality, that somebody that can I don't know, like, we can have stupid fucking conversations, and to the outside world, it would be, it'd be like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? But, like I've always been interested in somebody that can make me think, right? I mean, you do have to be attractive, I mean, you could have the world's greatest fucking personality, but if I'm not physically attracted to you, then it's not gonna fucking work. It's just, I'm more, what is this? The fuck? Is this like my, what is that fucking Match.com? Is this like my fucking Match.com fucking, portfolio? Is that what they have? I don't know. Who gives a shit what I like? You guys don't give a shit about that. So, let's just move on. Let's keep it moving. I don't know. I was reading an article today about this whole, this call from the corporate left to that Russians an enemy, and that they're conducting a cyber war against us, and that, I don't know, they were even saying that at this point, like, the nuclear option is an option as far as the the response to them supposedly meddling in our elections. And it fucking struck me as ironic that these are the same people, right, that are just absolutely disgusted and horrified by Trump, because he's just this despicable, deplorable fucking human being, right? They're absolutely just beside themselves in disgust of Trump, and the horrific shit that he's said and proposed policy wise. But then at the same time, they're like, well, let's fucking nuke Russia and, will completely ignore all of the innocent civilians, men, women, and children that, couldn't give two shits about our election. Let's just fucking obliterate them because we have a game show host as a president instead of a fucking war hawk with a fucking vagina. I mean, am I the only one that finds that just a tad ironic that you could be so disgusted by Trump and just, by the things he fucking says, but you're perfectly okay just annihilating innocent people because you can't just take the fucking L. I mean, could you imagine? I think this is the main reason why a lot of people get so fucking like they don't, they get so gung-ho about war, right? About going to war or, fighting the war on terror or whatever the fuck it is, whatever reason that they're, super jazzed about killing people is because there, besides, what happened on September 11th or what happened during Pearl Harbor, there hasn't been any sort of like large scale, devastation or war in this country, right? We sleep fucking just fine at night knowing that when we get up in the morning, everything, the street will be fine, our house will still be there, the schools where we take our children will still be intact, that, that there's some degree of law and order and, you can buy a fucking Starbucks, right? Meanwhile, in these countries that we are bombing the dog shit out of, you have people that are afraid to fucking, I mean, I saw some, or what was it? I think I was watching a video on Jimmy Dore's channel. He was interviewing Caitlin Johnston, one or the other. And she had mentioned that, that there are kids in the Middle East that are afraid of blue skies because when it's a blue sky out, that's usually when the fucking drones come in and bomb the dog shit out of their fucking city. Children afraid of blue skies. Imagine that. That struck me as, I mean, it fucking disturbed me. I mean, not that I've, up until that point where I was completely clueless about what's happening over there. I mean, I've always been against the fucking war. The only time I can say, all right, I'm guilty of sort of being jazzed about going to war is right after September 11th when I was kind of caught up in all of the fucking the madness, right, of just, oh, we need to fucking, they did that to us. And it's really the only time I've ever felt some degree of like, like my country, like I felt the need to fucking defend it, so I got caught up in the hype. But then, like I don't know, about a year or two into it, when it was like, okay, this is fucking horse shit. We're attacking a country that had nothing to fucking do with what happened on September 11th, and and somehow it moved from like, let's get the fucking people who were responsible to now we need to fucking take out Saddam because of some bull, like I was only sort of behind the fucking war train for like a year and a half. Ever since then, it's kind of been like, okay, this is fucking horrific. And we've been doing this shit, I mean, now for about 17 years straight. But, if you think about all the shit we did in the 80s and 90s and stuff, you can certainly understand why some countries fucking hate us. Right? But, when I heard her talk about, children being afraid of blue skies, that was something that I hadn't even thought about, because I don't, I mean, yeah, I understand the drone strikes and I've been against them. And I've said on this podcast many times that, it's fucking horrific. The amount of fucking drone strikes that Obama approved during his fucking presidency, and the fact that, 9 times out of 10, they don't even get the the people that they're fucking after, that they're going after. 9 times out of 10, it's innocent men, women, and children being blown to bits, all because, of some shit that happened fucking 17 years ago. So when you hear something like children being afraid to come outside when it's blue skies, that is fucking heartbreaking. But the reason that, going back to what I was getting at, is the people here in this country, they don't have to experience that, because they can, they pretty much expect that when they wake up in the morning, some degree of normalcy. There's no fucking bombs going off. There's no threat of a fucking nuclear war or any of that shit, right? Well, just imagine what life would be like here if all of these countries that we decide to continually fuck with decided, you know what, enough of this. We're going to just fucking start bombing the shit out of this country. Imagine waking up tomorrow and half your fucking house has been blown apart, and maybe your kids are either dead or maimed or missing fucking limbs, and you can't fucking drive your car because that was destroyed in the bomb blast, and your street is fucking tore up, and even the schools that you send your kids to, that has been fucking disintegrated. Imagine what life would be like here if we lived the life of the people in the Middle East, or the possible lives that people would live in Russia if we decided, you know what, fuck that, we didn't get our fucking queen, so we're just going to annihilate everybody in your fucking country. I think that the number one reason that this country is so fucking gung-ho for war is because war never happens here. And anytime we have a any sort of so-called terrorist attack, it's very low scale, and it allows people to be like, well, it wasn't me, so I can't really form any sort of strong opinion. Yeah, that fucking sucks, but it allows people. It's the same thing with the gun argument now, right? I read somewhere that they're actually talking about providing children with bulletproof blankets. So, instead of actually doing something about gun violence, instead of actually trying to compromise on gun reform, instead of doing any fucking thing, they're deciding, you know what, let's just, let's give the kids fucking bulletproof blankets and pretend like that isn't fucking scary as shit to them. Let's pretend like the idea of needing a bulletproof fucking blanket at school isn't absolutely fucking terrifying. And the only reason that this shit happens, right? The only reason that gun reform doesn't fucking happen is because 9 times out of 10, when somebody shoots up a school or shoots up a theater or a business or whatever, it's always, just the working middle class people that, it's like, they basically consider us, collateral damage. It's excusable because, it's not really affecting us. But let that type of shit happen. Like, let's, I think Jimmy Dore made this point. If every fucking week somebody walked into one of these fucking firms on Wall Street and shot a bunch of fucking stockbrokers, or they went to like the private schools that all the rich fucking cunts send their children to, if every week one of their private schools was being shot up, if the fucking violence had a chance of touching them in some way, you better believe we would have had gun reform a long fucking time ago. The fact that instead of doing something about it, instead of being like, okay, enough is enough of this shit, instead of doing anything, their solution is give your children bulletproof blankets. Are you not disgusted by this? I mean, even if you are a fucking gun nut, right? If you're at the very extreme of gun ownership, where the point where you want to own a fucking tank, how are you not disgusted by this lack of fucking response to protecting our children? Because you have, I mean, even if you are a hardcore Second Amendment believer, you have to at least be at least somewhat, even superficially aware that the only reason gun reform isn't happening in this country isn't because of some shit that, a bunch of guys wrote like almost 300 fucking years ago. It isn't because of that. It's because it's a fucking business, and it's far more profitable to do absolutely nothing to protect children and people than it is to fucking do something. They've basically decided that, you know what, your children and your life are expendable as long as we make some fucking money. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, for those of you out there, could you imagine? I mean, just think back to when you were in elementary school or middle school. If your teacher was like, well, today you get a fucking bulletproof blanket because, maybe somebody might come on campus and start shooting and killing people. Here's your fucking blanket. How fucking jazzed would you be about that? I mean, wouldn't you be fucking terrified? Would you even want to go to school if that were the case? Because I know I fucking wouldn't. So just, I don't know, to bring it back to this call for fucking war with the Russians because Queen Hillary wasn't elected. I find it fucking ironic that these people, in one breath are disgusted by, Trump saying grab him by the pussy, but they have no problem whatsoever just obliterating fucking innocent people just because their guy or their girl wasn't elected. It's fucking disgusting. It's absolutely fucking disgusting. And the same thing with this bulletproof blanket bullshit. It's fucking disgusting. And the fact that, I mean, I get why the rich fucking cunts that, have, maybe stocks or whatever, or investments in the gun industry. I get why they would pretend like, oh, no, we don't need to do anything. All we need is these blankets and, or whatever. Or my favorite is, if we just teach people to be empathetic, and care about their fellow human being, that will solve. Oh, really? I mean, isn't that fucking ironic? That you don't want to do anything that would affect you personally, that affects people, at least in this country, sometimes on a daily fucking basis. You don't have any empathy there, because you want to keep your fucking guns, right? But you want us all to fucking, learn to be something that fucking biologically we were never designed to be. It's fucking bizarre how stupid and how fucking disgusting people have become. Our country is crumbling. And nobody seems to give a shit. Everybody wants to pretend like, like if we'll just ride it out, eventually it'll get better, or eventually it'll work itself out, or eventually a fucking John McClane will show up and save us from the killer asteroid. Everybody's waiting for somebody else to fucking do it, for somebody else to solve the fucking problem, or for the problem to just solve itself. The establishment fucking Democrats and their supporters are fully convinced that all they have to do is just wait out the fucking, till the midterms, that there'll be this supposed blue wave that really isn't fucking coming. It isn't fucking coming. And the Democrats that will be elected will be progressive Democrats. So that's the thing that they ignored with the previous special elections or whatever. It's like, oh, see, people, there's this fucking blue tide coming, and they completely dismiss the fact that the people that actually won during those special special elections were the furthest left of the Democratic Party. That they were all progressive Democrats that won. So I don't know. I don't know where I was going with all of that. But what I do know is that if you're one of these people that's like, Trump is so disgusting, but at the same time you're willing to bomb the dog shit out of fucking Russia and kill innocent people, you really can't call yourself an empathetic, or a person that has empathy, or even a fucking brain in your head. And the same thing, if you are a 100%, Second Amendment believer, the fact, if you're not disgusted by the response, if you haven't, realized that they have basically said your life, your children's life, your family's life, they're all expendable so long as we continue to make money. If you haven't recognized that, then you are a fucking idiot who is more interested in your fucking toys than you are at fucking living or having empathy of any way. And if you don't find the story about children in the Middle East being afraid of blue skies, if you don't find that fucking heartbreaking, then you're a fucking sociopath. And why you're listening to me, I don't know. And I suspect that after this podcast, you probably will never listen to me again. But anyway, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry this podcast has been a real downer. I can't always fucking talk about bullshit, okay? Occasionally I gotta talk about something serious, and I feel like this is something that needs to be said. I'm not gonna pretend like nobody else is fucking saying it, but I feel like, maybe there's people that listen to me that aren't listening to the other people. The message needs to get out that we need to fucking cut this bullshit out. If Russia meddled in our fucking elections, which has not been proven at all. It has not been proven to, they say it. They've been saying it over and over and over again to the point where it seems like it's true, but there is no actual evidence that they did anything that affected the outcome of the fucking election. You need to fucking drop that narrative. And you definitely need to drop it if you're now calling for military action against a country filled with innocent fucking people. You need to fucking cut the shit, okay? Before we end up going down that path. Because if we go to war with Russia or someone else because you just can't accept that you fucking lost, then the loss of life that they experienced, that blood, is all on your fucking hands. And I will make sure to remind you of it every fucking step of the way. But anyway, all right, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. I'm going to quit preaching at you guys. I hope you had a good fucking weekend. It is Monday, so I know that for a lot of you, this is... this is the beginning of the grind. I 100% empathize and sympathize with you. But anyway, all right, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. Hope you're having a good day, and I'll talk to you again sometime later this week. All right, take it easy and take it easy. I don't know. Don't take any shit and go fuck yourself. All right, peace.